Changes to the UK energy system are taking way too long. Government's dragging its heels, and even if they made a decision today, it will be years before we feel the effects. From winter 2025, energy companies in the UK will be forced to offer at least one tariff with no standing charge. Now that sounds great. Reduce the standing charges, our energy bills will be cheaper. Well, not so fast. Now, an energy bill without standing charges sounds good, right? But here's the problem. They're only going to be legally required to offer one tariff. Now, do you really think the energy companies are going to make that available on their most popular tariff, or are they going to put it onto the one that is already the most expensive with the fewest number of customers? And here's the kicker. You're going to have to actually find out which tariff it is and if it's going to be cheaper for you. And if you get it wrong, you could end up paying even more money. Now, the current system of standing charges is just broken. It doesn't really matter if you, like me, work from home, you're in the house all day, or if you're away on holiday. You pay the same standing charges and you pay them separately for electricity and for gas, just for the privilege of being connected to the grid. Now, the energy companies will tell you that the standing charge covers maintenance and a whole load of fixed costs around the delivery of that energy. And I fully understand that. The grid's not going to maintain itself. The people who work on all the high voltage lines, they all need to be paid. So that money needs to come from somewhere. But right now, it's about £300 a year if you have both electricity and gas. And if you're on one of the lowest incomes in the country, that's not really fair. Now, this is just my plan. I'm not a member of the government. Nobody in the government listens to me. But I'd love to get your thoughts on whether you think this is the direction we should be going in. And who knows, maybe if enough of us get together, then the energy minister might actually listen to us. So let's make this really simple. Instead of paying standing charges across all tariffs, we roll the cost into the unit rate. Sounds good? Yeah, you've probably heard it before. Lots of people have been talking about this. The advantage of it being in the unit rate is you only pay for what you actually use. So if you are a low energy user, you pay less. If you're a high energy user, you pay more. Now, we want to make this as fair as possible, so there are going to be some nuances here. So to do this, we need to introduce some tiered pricing. And to do this, we'll use a standard UK household as the measure. So the first 25% of your usage, based on what a standard UK house would use, would be discounted and have no standing charges applied to it completely. The next block, that would be from 25% to 75% of the average UK household, would be at the standard unit rate. So for an average UK house, you would see about a 25% reduction in those charges. But that money's got to come from somewhere. That other 25% has got to be made up. And the way we do that is we have the ability for those that use more over and above what an average UK household would use, would pay more, but we would cap it at 125%. So therefore, it doesn't matter how much energy you use, you'll never pay more than 25% more of the standing charge rate than you do today. Who's that going to hit? Well, quite frankly, people like me. People who probably can afford to pay it, given we're exporting energy and we're getting paid for it. So a slight rise in the standing charge for those that can most afford it would help those that can least afford it. Now, again, this should only be for domestic properties. Businesses, they would have a completely separate arrangement. They buy their energy different from how we do domestically anyway. But I also want to make sure that there are protections here for people who really do need to use a lot of energy. People who might have, life-saving medical equipment in their home and have no choice. They have to run it 24/7. They would be completely excluded from 100% of the standing charge. So they would just see that reduction completely off of their bill. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people would say, well, I need a certain piece of equipment. This would be done through the NHS. You would require a doctor's certificate to access those rates. But once you've got that, then you would not pay standing charges anymore. What about those in rental properties? Well, I think it's time we get tough on landlords. There are so many landlords out there that let their properties fall into wreck and ruin. We've all seen the houses. You drive down some streets and it looks like they haven't seen a lick of paint in about 25 years. There are broken windows just boarded up with bits of wood. The houses have had no money spent on them, but those landlords are still charging rental incomes. Well, we would give them a very short space of time to get this sorted out. I would say from April 2027, so give them a full year from the beginning of the next tax year, every single rental home would require to meet the minimum government installation standards. And that to do this, they would need to get a new EPC certificate from April 2027. No certificate, then the property fails and can't be rented out until it's fixed. Really, really simple, no exclusions, nobody's getting out of it. Every single landlord would be required to put some insulation in the loft, fix the drafty windows, bring the property up to a minimum standard. Otherwise, you don't get to rent it out anymore. And we'd make sure that all the estate agents, the people that handle rental properties, would be forbidden from renting those properties out without a valid EPC. So it sounds extreme, I give you that. And as I say, not a member of the government, nobody is going to listen to me on this, but I'd love to know what you think of my plans. What are the holes? What have I missed? What could be done better? The current plan that the government has is a step in the right direction, but it really is just putting a little toe in the water. It puts all the pressure on the consumer to shop around, to look at the tariffs, to make sure they're making the right choice. If we just remove the standing charge completely and put it onto the standard rate, that way those that use more energy would pay more. Energy bills should not be a guessing game. They should be fair by default. And those that don't use a lot of energy shouldn't have to pay for those of us that do. So if you agree, do me a favour, hit the like button. I'd love to know what the feeling is for this kind of radical change. Now, government isn't really good at doing quick radical change. They like to have lots of committees, consultations, take people from the energy industry to come in and convince them that you should just leave everything it is because we're making lots of money and we don't want to give that up. If that's of interest, if you do that, hit that like button. And if enough people get behind this, then I will certainly bring this up with the Department for Energy. I'll share it with my local MP and I will start making some noise and hopefully we can shame them into doing something. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. If you have, a like and subscribe would be really appreciated. And if I'm lucky, I will see you back here real soon for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.